Hey, if we haven't met before, I'm Pastor Matthew. I'm so excited you're all here this morning. I'm going to put my clock right here to make sure I stay on time. Here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. I'm going to kind of fly through some of the information. For some of you that this is your first time ever doing this, you're going to be like, whoa, I have questions. And some of you are like, we've done this before. Get to the stuff we don't know yet because this is taking too long, McNutt. So what I'm going to ask you to do is if you have questions, save them till the end, or if I pause and ask if anybody needs clarification. But otherwise, save them to the end. If you look back there, Michelle is standing. She is our student ministry administrative assistant. Between Michelle, Melissa, and Matt, who's right there at the sound booth, he's our future leader intern. Between the four of us, we're going to hang around after, and if you have questions, we'll stick around until everybody's questions are taken care of. So we will definitely get to your questions. Here's to give you a quick overview of the trips that we're planning for this year. And if you're wondering, McNutt, normally we do this in the year that the mission trips are on, not the year before. The last two mission trip seasons, our mission trip participation has gone through the roof, which is amazing. It's super exciting. For a lot of years, we were between 50 to 70 students and adults. 2 years ago, there were 91 of us. Last year, there was 113. And what we found is behind the scenes, we needed some more time for all the administrative stuff that is involved in that. And we were like, we really need about 1 month more than we would normally have, which would mean having this meeting on Christmas. So we were like, how about 2 months? So here we are today. When we dive into it, what you're going to see is most of the calendar deadlines and when all the meetings are largely the same as previous years. The big difference is we want the applications sooner so that we have time behind the scenes to process everyone's applications, to go through your paperwork, to help make sure your support letters are as strong as they can be before they go out in the new year. On your way in, you should have grabbed some different packets of information. If you don't have one of those, you can put your hand up and maybe someone will get it to you. But while that happens, just to give you a quick overview of our 3 trips. Our first one is to Virginia, and this is for students who are currently in 7th or 8th grade. Currently in 7th or 8th grade. Not at the time of the trip when the school year's over, but currently in 7th or 8th grade. And we're going there with Praying Pelican Mission. Now, we've done mission trips to Virginia before. This is our first time doing it with Praying Pelican. That's the organization that we did all of our trips through last year, and who we had gone to Belize with a couple times in the years before that. And what I really love about Praying Pelican's method or their philosophy is they're gonna, once they know the size of our group, once we've got all that information to them, somewhere around January, they're going to let us know where in Virginia we're going because they try to partner us with a church or ministry that can handle the size of our group, that understands the age of our group, to find appropriate ministry activities for them. I was talking to the representative the other day, and she thinks our group will most likely, but not definitely, end up there's a camp ministry in Virginia that she's really excited. She was like, it'll be perfect size for our group to be able to stay at, to do some projects at the camp. Camp won't be happening that week, but primarily it'll be about being a nice hub for doing ministry in the local rural community. Our middle schoolers are going super rural Virginia this year. So it's going to be beautiful scenery, maybe some wildlife, I don't know. We'll feed some 7th grade dudes to them. No. There's some of them already volunteering. It's going to be really rural, so we'll be partnering with some of the local ministries there, food pantries, nursing homes, maybe some children's ministries interacting with kids. But it'll be really exciting. I've loved the trips that we've gone to in Virginia in the past with our middle schoolers. Our next trip is for our students currently in 9th through 12th grade. We're headed back to Texas with Border Perspectives. This is an incredible ministry that is based in McAllen, Texas, right across the border, like We won't be going to Mexico, but we'll be able to see Mexico. 3 years ago, we took a large group of students to Border Perspectives to see the ministry there. And I'll be honest, it's one of my all-time favorite mission trips that I've gone. I'm actually going to be leading this one again because I love this trip so much. And what we're doing is we're partnering with a church there. The ministry leaders, part of what I love about Border Perspectives is the team of leaders that have been leading this ministry have been doing so for years and years and years. It all started with an immigrant family, a legal immigrant family that came across the border about 30 or 40 years ago and planted a church to reach Mexican Americans who had come across the border and were living now in the U.S. and becoming citizens and going through that process. And so they founded a church. And over the years, because their family has been so rooted in the border is so much more than what we see in the news. Right? And a big part of their frustration is at any given time, one of the political parties or the other is weaponizing conversation around the border against the other party. And meanwhile, they're like, hey, we're just doing ministry. I don't know if you know, the majority of people that come across the border are Christians. And so they're going like, we're trying to help our brothers and sisters in the Lord, to be hospitable to them. And so our group, this ministry that has been there for decades, they began hosting mission teams about a decade or so ago, I believe. And so they host, and what I love about it is because they've grown up through this, and this is the family that came across, and now their children are all, closer to my age, but are leading this ministry, are able to guide us through conversations that are really incredible. Last time we went, we partnered with several different churches in the area to do food relief, to do work projects, to do some homeless relief. We visited shelters that are helping people go through the legal process of immigrating into the U.S., and it's just overwhelming. And what was so amazing about the trip is everyone that came back from it was like, this is the best trip we've ever gone on. Some of those students are mad at me that I waited until after they graduated to go back again. But so that is coming up for anyone currently in 9th through 12th grade. And then our 10th through 12th grade, currently in 10th through 12th grade, is a mission trip to Panama, which Melissa's going to be leading. We're really excited about our mission trip to Panama. Again, we're partnering with Praying Pelican Missions. I love how Praying Pelican does international mission trips. And so they're going to partner our team with a church in Panama. And so our team will be working with this church to kind of impact the community through this church. It'll most likely be the only team that church will have over the course of the summer. So it's not a steady parade of kids going into this rural village or town or wherever it is. Now they're going to, once they know the size of our team, they're going to pick a church based on the size of our team and the students that are coming and our skill set, which is not impressive. No, just kidding. We have amazing 10th through 12th graders. It'll be doing a lot of service projects around the church, a lot of community outreach, and a big part of what the Panama team does will most likely be a vacation Bible school type children's ministry or children's camp throughout the week. Vacation Bible School in Central America is a lot simpler than Vacation Bible School here at Brandywine. But it's going to be a really amazing opportunity to experience another culture, to really get to know a church and its pastor and the community. Part of our process in choosing international destinations is we look at cost, we look at distance, and we also look at safety. That we evaluate, we look at like, what does the government say about all these different countries? Our first pick we ruled out because when we pulled out, we were like, oh, no, yeah, like there's some warnings about this kind of. Panama looks like a really safe option for us. And then Praying Pelican, when they choose sites to go, especially abroad, but in the U.S. as well, the reality is one bad experience is national news, right? They're incredibly careful where they take kids because they know, like, not only are they entrusted with young people, you're entrusting us with your young people, but it isn't just about risking that group, it's about risking the whole ministry. And so you may see headlines about different countries or places we go to, that isn't the parts of the places we're headed to. And now some of you are like, what am I saying about Panama? Panama actually ranked really safe. I always laugh with Melissa as we're working on destinations, because statistically speaking, we have yet to take youth group kids anywhere as dangerous as Wilmington ranks on the national. So make you feel good about home. Just kidding. So we're really excited about Panama. It's going to be a beautiful experience, incredible cultural experience, and an opportunity to really see what God is doing there and work in our kids' hearts. We have two goals when it comes to our student mission trips. Two primary goals, and then a small third goal. If I were to put like percentage values to the goals when it comes to our student mission trips, 45% of what we're about is meaningful service, right? Like we don't want to just raise a bunch of money and go do something goofy. Like we want to count. And so that's part of why I love Praying Pelican Missions, that we get to partner with these churches. We get to make a real difference where they're at. Same with Border Perspective. 45%, the equally important to us is spiritual growth of our young people. That's why we have all these meetings in the spring building up to the mission trips, to really kind of pave the way so that once we're on this trip, we can get maximum impact in our team. That's why we prioritize small group discussion time every day on these teams, to process what we're doing, to pray about, to study the Bible, to see what God is doing. And so every year we see incredible spiritual growth in our young people because we prioritize this so much in the group. So it really is, to us, it's about where we're going, but it's also about what happens in our team. And that added up to 90%. 10% is having fun. Like at some point in the week, we're going to do something fun. Like last year, we went to a glacier in Alaska. We've gone to baseball games. We've gone to laser day. Like, you can't travel with 20 or 30 teenagers and not blow off some steam somewhere. Otherwise, it's just a pressure cooker and somebody snaps on somebody, right? Usually it's me. But so as you see, when we're planning, they're just having a fun day one of the days. No, that's important, right? Because we're processing a lot of stuff, a lot of emotions going on, and you've got to have some pressure releases throughout the trip. When you came in, you should have grabbed one of these information packets. This has been, Melissa and Michelle have been agonizing over this for weeks, and then I get to stand up here and take credit for it. It's got everything you need to know. So if you flip it open, you'll see our 3 trips, what the costs are, what the dates are. There's a QR code, there's a website address and a QR code, both of which take you to the application form, which is live. We want those applications in by December 10th. But before you start looking at the application or thinking about that, there is a checklist here, a bunch of little bullet points. And here's the deal. All of these items, filling out your application, doing the deposit, you can do it online through the Student Mission Support online portal. You just put in the note box that this is your deposit, not your support. Fill out your medical release and get it to us. A draft support letter if you're going to Texas. If you have a license, we need a copy of it. If you don't have a license, that's okay. They'll let you on the plane. But if you have a government ID, you don't need to get one to go. But if you have one, we need a copy of it so that we do the plane tickets right, because you'll be carded. For the Panama team, your application needs to include either a photo of your current passport that is good for at least 6 months after the dates of travel. Otherwise, they won't let you on the plane. Or a photo, a copy of the filled out passport application to show us that you've started the process. Why do we have to start? Because passports take forever. Especially since COVID, even though it's been years, the passport application process takes months and months unless you pay really expensive expedite fees. So we want to know that you've started the process so that for sure you have a passport by the time we travel, and when it comes time to buy the plane tickets, the name that we give the airline has to match the name that you put on your passport application. All right? So this checklist is all of the stuff that has to be completed for us to see your application as completed and on time. And here's why this is a big deal. Our mission trips each have like a number of students that they're capped at. Perhaps Panama might be the biggest deal for this, but on the rare occasion, and this has happened over the years, where we have a trip that has way more people apply to it than there's room, there's a few factors that we look at for deciding who makes the team. We look at who got their applications in on time in full. Not like you did part of it, but we want to say who got it in on time in full. Because it feels kind of mean to penalize a kid that got it in on full and another kid that didn't meet that expectation. Then we look at who are the older students, right? Seniors are going to get priority over the sophomores. No offense, sophomores. But seniors, like there's got to be some privilege with age, right? We also look at, is this kid somebody who's been involved in being a part of things, or is it just a friend who's never come to a student ministry event at all? Like then a kid that has been a part of small groups, been a part of Sunday mornings is going to take priority over somebody's friend who hasn't been a part of things, right? So there's a few different factors that we look at before I get to make difficult phone calls. Because somehow Melissa's always like, hey, you got the big title, so you call the kid and ruin their day. If that were to happen, if Panama were to fill up and I had to call somebody and be like, hey, we'll try to make it work for you to be able to go to Texas instead. You're still going to be able to go to a trip. 7th and 8th graders are like, what happens if 7th and 8th grade fills up? We have booked so many spots for that mission trip just to make sure, and if the group really grows, then we'll split it into 2 groups going to the same destination, but 2 groups for discussion time. I don't think I mentioned Jake and Allison Brown are going to be the leaders for our middle school trip, and we're going to be working with them. We're really excited to have them. Charity's excited as well. I don't recall you clapping when I said I was leading Texas. It's no, it's too late. It's too late. All right. So, all that to say, filling out the application and checking off this checklist is super important by December 10th. We got some notes here that people can be able to donate online. If you look at the important mission trips date page, this is the stuff to put on your calendar now. There's some deadlines for when things need to be in by. There's some mandatory meetings that we want students to be at. We really need you to prioritize those. Where there's so many kids, we need to have those times. Years ago, before I came, when I first came, they used to do these meetings like every week, and kids were hit or miss. And so we stripped it way down to 4 mandatory meetings, but we need people to prioritize those. And we have had conversations with kids in the past where if they're not making any of the meetings, they're not making the deadlines for the different stuff, of going, hey, maybe this isn't the year. Because it really hurts the rest of the team when 1 or 2 kids are not following through on those commitments. You'll notice on here, the Renew Student Conference is one of the events that we require all the mission trip participants to go to. We really think it's a great team bonding, learning opportunity. Because we require it, we factor it into the support raising goal for your students. So if you sign up for a mission trip, when we start pushing the Renew Conference in January and telling everybody to sign up, if you're going on a mission trip, you're already signed up, you're already registered, you don't need to worry about the cost. If you register again, then we're going to have to refund your money. It's a whole big pain. So don't worry about that. Let me flip to the next page. Being prepared spiritually. I'd really ask you to read over this. these 2 pages, because this is really about what we expect you to be considering as you prep for these mission trips and the commitments that we're asking you to make, right? This is not just a tourist trip that you sign up and you get to go. It's a privilege, and there's some weight to what goes on these trips, and so we want you to take some time and really think about that. I remember years ago, we did a weekend mission trip to New York City, and we were on like the second day of it. And this one kid, he turns to me, like he's been a grouch the whole trip. It's fantastic. It's nobody in this room, nobody you know, it was years ago. And finally, he turns to me, he's like, McNutt, when are we going to do the fun stuff? I go, what are you talking about? He's like, I don't know, Statue of Liberty, Times Square, like, what in the world? And I was like, we're not doing that, man. This is a service weekend. He goes, it's a what? It's a service weekend. You knew that, didn't you? He was like, no, man. My mom asked me if I wanted to go to New York. I said yes. I was like, well, this explains a lot, man. Read over this, because we're going to have some fun elements, but it is a lot of service. It's tiring, and we're interacting with each other. We're going after spiritual growth. So think through the commitment, because on the application, when you fill it out, you sign that you've read through it and you've agreed to it. When it comes to recruiting your support team, we do all of our fundraising through letters, through support letters. And so this has been kind of refined over the course of decades now. I think it started under Grant Hasty, who was a youth pastor 30-something years ago, and has continued through today. I've been overseeing this for 15 years now. And it really does work well if people follow the process and the deadlines. Every year there's someone that ignores the deadlines, turns their stuff in late, and then really struggles to raise funds. Here's what we want you to do to raise your support team. We want you to find 5 prayer partners. You'll see it when you fill out the application that you're supposed to put 5 people's names. Talk to these people ahead of time. Don't wait until December 9th or December 10th to start trying to find your prayer partners to fill out your application. Honestly, your best bet are your small group leaders and some other adults that your family knows that you're just going to ask that, hey, can you be praying for me over the next half a year as I prepare for this mission trip and go on it? And so you put their information in the application. Then, for the financial support, we've got some tips on here. Write a well-crafted letter. We're going to ask you to submit that through Google Docs. There's an email address in here that you send it to for Michelle and Melissa to proofread. They've been doing this for years, but what we want you to do is in here, we've got a sample support letter. Here's the stuff you want to include. We've got a sample support letter in blue here. There's portions of it that we tell you to literally copy and paste in, the portions that tell people how to donate online or how to return the support to you. You do not want to just copy and paste the entire example support letter here, right? Like you want to personalize it. You want to make it reflect you. When you came in, you got some paper with information about each of the destinations we're going to. Look at these and go, hey, here's some of the stuff I might be doing. Here's why I'm excited to go. Here's what I'm hoping to learn, right? That you put all of this different information in the support letter, send the draft to the email address as part of your application, and then over the space of a month or two, while we get ready to mail them out in a few months, Melissa and Michelle will be proofreading them, sending it back to you, going, hey, here's some suggestions. Here's where it's not clear. Here's where maybe you can add this information or correct this, so that we can do the best job we can with the letters. Once they have cleared your letter and it said this is ready to go, you're going to see on the calendar that there's a deadline for when we want all the letters to come in, which I think is at 35 for Virginia, and then 50 for Texas and Panama, and part of that's based on the amount of support that you're trying to raise. But what you'll do then is you will take your support letter, you'll make if you're going to Virginia, you'll make 35 copies of it, grab 35 envelopes, load it in there, include a self-addressed return, not self-addressed, an addressed return envelope that is sent to the church. Their instructions are in here for what that needs to say. We used to say you need to put a stamp on it. Now that we have online giving, you don't need to put a stamp on it because a lot of people are just going to use online giving. You include one of these. You should have grabbed one of these on the way in, cut it up, and include one of these return slips in the support letter as well, right? So that way when somebody opens it up, they get your letter, they get a slip that tells them how to support either through a check or with online giving. There's a QR code. They get an envelope to be able to mail it back that has the address on it, keep it simple. And then you put together all 35 or 50 of those letters, seal them up, bring them to us by the deadline, and then we'll stamp and mail them all out at the same time. Why are we mailing them all at the same time? If 100 kids write 35 to 50 letters each, we are going to be mailing out somewhere between 3,000 to 5,000 support letters. And some people are going to get more than one letter. And so people in our church really love being able to get all the letters at the same time, so that way they can make one gift and split it between the kids that they want to support. This is why for the 1 or 2 kids every year that are late and their letter shows up a month or 2 later, this is why they struggle to get support, because a lot of people have already made their gifts, right? Also, it's important to note when I say that we send out 3,000 to 5,000 support letters, that is 100% for real. And what's going to happen is Stephanie is going to have somebody say, hey, I sent a check, and then she's going to go on to manage missions to see if the support's there, and she's going to be like, it hasn't shown up yet. And then Michelle is going to get 500 calls from people going, why hasn't my support showed up yet? Because she's trying to process 3,000 to 5,000 support letters having support come in. There's a month or 2 there where it is a deluge of support that all has to be entered manually. Give her a couple weeks before you reach out and say, hey, my aunt so-and-so said that she made an online donation 3 weeks ago. I haven't seen it yet. Then she can check. But during our peak, that month or 2 after the letters go out, it is a deluge of support. Am I pronouncing that word right? I think I am. I said it confidently. That's what really matters. And during that window, it's no exaggeration to say that is all Melissa, Michelle, Matt are doing behind the scenes, is just processing gift after gift after gift, and it will be sometimes as much as a couple weeks behind just to catch up with all.
Siblings.
Oh, siblings. Thank you, Melissa. If you have multiple kids, and here's what my family does, right? So we have 2 sons that are going to go on trips this year, Zachary and Noah. They'll each write a letter, but we'll stick both of those letters in the same envelope. Right? They don't need to do 2 separate batches of envelope because honestly, their support lists are the same. Right? So we'll put both of their letters in the same envelope with the return envelope with the instruction thing. Definitely do that. Like, buddy up your kids. They can write a joint letter together. If you want to do it that way. We found with our sons it works best if they do their separate things, but whatever. Some siblings get along great. So, I'm kidding. Zachary's offended. So you can do that. That helps save on postage. That helps save on prep time for you guys. Let me, on the last page, there's a home ministry commitment form. We ask all the students that go on the mission trips to do 10 service hours, ministry-related service hours, as part of their preparation to go do ministry elsewhere. These hours can count from any ministry-related service, helping in nursery, helping vacation Bible school, helping children's ministry, helping, there were some kids that did shoe boxes yesterday. Like the 7th graders, I think, volunteered at a church last night. Anything that has happened since the last mission trip season, so pretty much anything from July 1st until this year's mission trip, can qualify towards those 10 hours. So if you helped with VBS, You're probably already there. So you fill that out and you get it to us once you've completed the 10 hours. I want to walk you for just a moment through a couple things on the application. When you scan in and you go to the application, there's going to be a whole bunch of fill out your name, your birthday, all that, like whatever. Cell phone numbers, we need those. We're going to be texting updates for meetings and all that good stuff. Then you're going to get to a page that says, please answer the following questions. And one of them is, have you been on a Brandywine Students Mission Trip before? If you've done it before, then you don't need to answer this next one. But if you have not gone on a trip before, then it says, please describe how and when you became a Christian. If yes, which mission trip was your favorite one and why? Here's the deal. Don't fake an answer, right? There's no such thing as a wrong answer on this one. You can say, hey, I'm still trying to figure out how I feel about God, right? What we want to know is where you're honestly at. So don't think I need to write the right thing for them to accept or refuse me on this trip. No, some of my favorite applications have been from kids who are like, I got to be honest, I really don't know if I even believe there is a God, but I like serving, I like helping people, and I'm open to learning, right? Because if you're coming on this trip, we're going to be talking about God a lot, right? So even if you're not sure how you feel about God, you need to be open to like, hey, this is the purpose of this trip. I can't come and argue it at every step of the way. We'll talk if you have questions, but I want you to be honest about this. Never turn away a kid for giving like an answer that's like, I'm not sure how I feel about God. We just want to know where you're at. Then there's a few more questions. Why do you want to go on a mission trip? Describe your relationship with Jesus as it is. Again, be honest. We want more than a sentence on these, and Melissa will chase you down and tell you to add more to it. She's hardcore. Every once in a while we get an application in with a bunch of one-word answers or like half a sentence. We want more than that. As our leaders prep these teams, we want to get to know you more. We want to know how you're wired, how we can help set up this team to be the best for everyone going. What are some areas of interest, ministry you're interested in? Who's your favorite person in the Bible? That's just fun. What's a hopeful expectation you have for the mission? We're just trying to get to know you. Here's your prayer partners. Then you do some confirmations. And then at the end of it, there's this whole student and parent commitments that you are committing. Hey, this is what I'm committing to. Right? And so this is why, like, at some points, we sometimes have to hold kids accountable to, like, hey, you committed to doing this stuff. We need you to follow through on that if you're going to be a part of this team. Right? Because it hurts the team if not all of us are doing what we committed to do. Parents, we ask you to sign off on this as well, because we have some threatening language in there about how, like, if we have to send your kid home, it's going to cost you money and all that good stuff. It's really fun. But that's not going to happen because these kids are all awesome. I just flew through that. Melissa, Michelle, did I leave anything out? Oh my gosh. They both said I covered it all. Ask me the question after. I'm going to pray. It's 10:03. Like I said, Melissa, Michelle, Matt, and I, we're going to be around. Actually, you should probably, Matt, I think, has another ministry commitment coming up pretty quick. But Michelle, Melissa, and I will be here until everyone who's had their questions taken care of is good to go. So let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you so much for these incredible opportunities that you've given our group to yet again go on these mission trips. And God, we ask, you already know who's going and where they're going. And we ask that as we enter into this process, that you would bless it, that you would guide parents as they have conversations with their teens about which trip is the right choice for them, that you would guide the application process and the support raising process, and that when it rolls around to that report Sunday in June, that we would just be blown away by all that you have done over these months, all that you've taught us, all that you've shown us, all that we've been able to do to build your kingdom and serve you in each of these different trips. In your name, amen.